stop snowing.
Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, doing an album review, Smith Western's Diet Blonde. Before I get into this, a couple things I have to mention. On theneedledrop.com, stream a new single from Gentleman Jesse and His Men, and hear an audio review of a new track from Parts and Labor. And also, I keep forgetting to mention this, rest in peace to the broadcast's Trish Keenan. Check out in the D-Box an article on NPR Music tributing her in Obituary. It's very nice. With no one artist leading the pack, and I'm sure this is also due in part to the blogosphere, garage rock has had such a resurgence. And it comes in a lot of flavors too. From the more punk-inspired stuff with Jay Retard to the western twang of the Strange Boys, the oddball psychedelia of Black Lips, and even the lo-fi noisy racket from Ty Segall's stuff. There's a lot more where that came from too, and there are a lot of groups who are doing this revivalist thing as well, just working with a sound that is mostly, if not totally, inspired by that old world of psychedelic and garage rock. And I would say Smith Westerns are cut of that cloth, or they've kind of evolved into that, because their first LP seemed content to just cause a racket. In fact, there were some songs on here that were so distorted it was kind of hard to make heads or tails of them. And all in all, I didn't really like it. I mean, lo-fi recordings are awesome for sure, but there's only an extent to which that aesthetic makes the music interesting. But I'm happy to say Diet Blonde has done a total 180 on the recording quality. It's done a 180 on a lot of stuff that I found on that first Smith Westerns LP. Almost to the point where these guys are almost no longer a garage rock band. Maybe something a little more refined. Pop keyboards, hot fuzzy guitar licks that are pulled right out of the George Harrison playbook, some warm bass, some snappy drums. This LP is definitely going to set you back to the late 60s, to when British psychedelic rock was looking to push boundaries and using studio trickery to just sound larger than life. Another thing to note about this LP too, the songwriting, the song structuring, both fantastic. Another turnaround from that first album. Between the four of these dudes, they pull off a lot of tight instrumental breaks and huge, massive crescendos. One of my favorites is just at the end of Imagine Part 3. That is a killer ending to a song that just whisks the track up into this gigantic guitar lead freakout. All Die Young is another favorite track of mine, this big anthemic lighter ballad that reminds me of just angels getting baked, hanging out on some clouds, playing harps, plugged into amplifiers, some Marshall stacks with distortion pedals. But the band can play things straight too, like Weekend, first track on the album, Fallen in Love, Only One, just tracks where they're like, you know what, let's not f around, let's just give them the hook, let's just be straight, let's be simple, let's be right to the point. Overall, I didn't hate not one single song on this LP, and it was not the instant turnoff that their first album was by a long shot. But that's not to say that there weren't things I didn't like. For one, in my opinion, the singing is just not good. It's not. The vocals are really, really weak. They're thin, they're rarely on pitch, and the production is constantly trying to make up for it by burying the vocals behind the keyboards, behind the guitars, behind this just wall of reverb and instrumentation on a lot of these tracks. So the really loud, hot, fuzzy guitars that make the first track on this album so awesome and so catchy kind of make Smith Western seem like a one-trick pony by the time you're at the last track of the album. But if you're looking for an album that you could dance to in the kitchen, in your underwear, while wearing sunglasses, Destination Smith Westerns. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this. It's a likable album, most definitely, but I fell in love with some tracks, not the entire LP. So how do you feel about this LP? Why do you like it? Why do you dislike it? Favorite track? Least favorite track? And what should I review next? Anthony Fantano, Smith Westerns, Diet Blonde, forever.